I want to look into something. It's not necessarily a problem, but I've only ever really considered it a quirk. I kind of want to get to the bottom of it, though. So, usual behavior of a motherboard that's not attached to a battery, or I guess it would just be a console that doesn't have a battery in it. And when you plug in the charger, this orange light blinks. That is to tell you that the board is receiving improper voltage from the battery. Expected behavior. However, with this one, when I plug it in, light turns on, turns off, and that's it. Why? So with this board in particular, I did repair it. I put the connector back, or the battery connector back on, kind of charred it a little bit. It does the job. And this one does charge. Oh, this one also had component U11 replaced, which could be the problem here. So really, I just have to start by sort of unceremoniously looking at the schematic for the DSI and just kind of seeing what exactly controls this orange light. So component U11 was over here, yes. And this right here might be the line to the orange light. Or ORNG I interpret as orange. Also, so that would mean it's leg 3 out of component U11. Let me get my microscope in. I'll also kind of zoom in on that. So leg 3 on component U11 goes through resistor 2. So is it that resistor that went bad? I was kind of thinking maybe it was some type of clock signal that was sort of timing those blinks, but I actually don't know. So let me see what I got here. So here's U11. Looking for resistor 2, which is this little fellow right there in the center of those 3 resistors. And then that goes all the way over to the connector for the ribbon cable. I can probably just fold the board over like this and just grab whatever test pad is for the orange light. So it should be pin 2, which is the second pin right here. And this resistor. Um, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's pin 3. I'm stupid. Okay, I'm staring at the schematic. I'm just cross-eyed going, what the heck's going on? R2? I'm not getting anything. It might be there's just some flux left over from when I... Oh, I think I got it. I think it was just some leftover flux from when I changed over U11. I'm gonna just kind of wipe off my probe ends here. I was getting kind of very inconsistent chirps from my multimeter. So then from this side of the resistor, I need to find the test point for orange. It could be really any one of these. So it is that one. It's test point 11. So it is shorting all the way over. So I guess I can check the resistance value of that resistor, see if I get anything. And then I'll compare it to a good board. $33 kilo ohms. Okay, here's a board that doesn't blink. Definitely hard to get this probe. 3.5 kilo ohms is what I keep seeing. It's going on 3.5 kilo ohms. Okay, hang on. Look at this, the bad resistor again. It's not off enough. I think I said 33, but looks like this is also 3.5. I wonder what I was touching to make it 35. Or, yeah, in the 30s. Definitely a lower resistance value. I don't think that really matters. I'll try another board. So then my theory about timing, or there's some sort of like signal that's just not. Okay. And now let me just make sure I have, shuffling around boards, just make sure I have the right one is the one that's faulty. Okay, so that one's a blinker. Just a sanity check so I don't spend time on a board accidentally shuffled out. So I think the only real thing I can do is to try and catch the momentary spike in voltage that sort of triggers the orange light. That's going to be kind of difficult. Like, is the voltage coming out of U11 that's driving that light the same on all of these consoles? The good, the bad. First, will I get a detection of shorting to ground? Just so I know I'm touching it? Not really. Use my microscope. So this is before the resistor. So there's just a constant current going? It's backwards, but it's what, 0.2 volts DC? Relative to ground? I think it sends out like a constant stream and then it stops. What's interesting is that my voltmeter detects a high spike. Of 5 volts before jumping down. Okay. And then it stops. So that makes sense. And not like a 0.volt, it's just the 5 volts. Okay, this is a blinking board. So I need to know, are they just 5-volt pulses? Am I even on the resistor? Maybe not like on it, but... The orange light is blinking. But I'm not getting any real voltage spike to ground. So that might be a reason. Oh, because I wasn't holding it to ground. So it's doing a 5-volt pulse to hit those LEDs. So it's just pulsing 5 volts every interval. So that's what I expect. It's just that steady pulse. So it's a 5-volt pulse. Now it's what exactly drives that timing. kind of looking around here, and there's no, like, obvious clock. Nothing that I'm at least familiar with. I'm just going to kind of look and see if any of these lines connect to a clock. I don't know what this structure means on a diagram. It could be it. TH goes to the plug. It's not the power board, so it wouldn't be this resistor. I don't think. No, I don't know. Resistor 102? Where would I even find that? I can do some probing. So pin 5 and 6, TH. I think that's like a thermistor. So this doesn't go anywhere. This is for the intake of the charger. So this line doesn't exist because that's just on a retail. I'm curious about this structure. Coming out of pin 7. Nine, 8, 7. 7 goes through R3. No, that's 8. Yeah, 9, 8, 7. So 7 goes into that fat via right there. That's a real big via. You can look right through the thing. And it doesn't lead anywhere obvious. So what I can do is just maybe check voltage on pin 8. See if that via is farting out anything. Maybe that's where my timing is coming from. No, I'm not getting anything. At least nothing I can detect. Something has to be pulsing into U11 if it's not... If it isn't generating its own clock signal. Something has to be generating it. I don't know if my multimeter can pick up a clock signal though. There's steady 1.9 volt coming out of pin 5. Pin 5 goes to the thermistor. Ooh, that was not good. there's 5 volts coming into pin 1. That's where the 5 volts is coming in from. Pin 1 comes directly from the charge port, which makes sense. 1 volt's coming out the thermistor. Charge light's still going. That little bridging I did didn't look like it did anything harmful, at least. So I couldn't detect anything out of 7. Might have to do the rather unsavory thing and consult AI. I'm not too crazy familiar with charging circuits, and this icy behavior of just having a clock might just be normal. Just speaking generally, it looks like, just generally speaking, ICs have an internal clock of some sort. Either an internal oscillator or timing logic. There's no timing pin. Okay, there's some interesting things I can look at. So I should maybe see what resistor 102 is doing. I don't think I can easily find that. I need to confirm my boards. I think this one was the good one. It is. I need to confirm where resistor 102 is, which goes to this TH1 thermistor thing. Let me just sort of probe around on the power board just so I know what a good spot to probe will be. So I don't have to hold the board like this. I actually might not be able to because this is a dedicated line. I don't know, can I get continuity through this thing? No. It's gonna be a little hard. If I can find the corresponding pin, perhaps I can just fudge it. Well, actually, if it's going to resistor 102, if I can find it, which it has to be one of these resistors. I should have a direct line to it. There's no resistors on the other side. R115. I wouldn't think it strays too far from in between U11 and this thermistor. Here it is. That resistor is that resistor right there, that little feller. So let me grab the resistance value to it. Another incredibly small component. Three kilo ohms, maybe? 2.8. Okay, let me check a good board. .8. What's resistor 76? That's the outer edge one here. Ten kilo ohms. Ten kilo ohms. So what's the problem, I wonder? Why is this board not not blinking? Should that side of the resistor be shorting the ground? Yeah. Huh. So let me check. Is U11 ingesting 5 volts? Was it at pin 1? Yeah, it should be at pin 1. It should be ingesting 5 volts. Let me get a better camera angle. I'm on pin 1 right now. I'm touching ground. Oh, I'm on resistance. Ugh, okay. Well, there goes my hopes. So there it is, getting 5 volts. And then it should be pulsing this. So the problem isn't any of the downstream resistors. It's just that it's not pulsing for some reason at pin 7. Or pin 3, I mean. And then there's 1 volt coming out of pin 6. Going to the thermistor. Let me check if that's normal. Where am I? Where am I? There I am. Oh no, it's not pin 6. This is pin 5. Ah, they both go to the same spot. Pin 5 and 6. Yeah. So the only difference is so there's where the pulses are coming from. Five volts input. It's like a 1 volt right here at a pin 9. No, that's pin 2, I mean. Don't know exactly what that's from. Okay. 9 and 8 I don't think have anything because those only initialize when the battery is in. Weirdly pulsing. Is that part of the light? It's just sort of like scanning for the battery, so to speak. So it just like farts out 5 volts. Waiting for that status to change, maybe? So would that have anything to do with it? I don't think so. Because if I go down to the positive battery connector, and get the same behavior, where it's sort of pulsing as well. So if it's U11 that has some sort of internal clock, So 1 volt, 1 volt. Let me check my other one. Pin 2 and pin 6. Actually, I should know pin 6 is pulsing. So this one I know isn't pulsing. I doubt it's pulsing at pin 9. Let's swap hands. So does this one still get 1 volt? Yeah. That still gets 1 volt. This is getting 5. So something inside isn't pulsing. Maybe because... I don't know. Maybe resistor 3? Let's unplug it. No, that's not 3. That would be 8. .3 kilo ohms. .3 kilo ohms. I don't know what ROSC and RCG means. None of that notation tells me a clock. Hmm. So AI is telling me that ROSC and RCG might be timing networks. So resistor 1 and 3, I should be looking at. Okay. I'm pretty sure I measured both of them. I don't think I measured resistor 1. 100 kilo ohms. And it's entirely possible that this is all due to a shoddy solder job, but I think my U11 is on there pretty good. Hundred kilo ohms, okay. So then this resistor 3. And these things are small. .3 kilo ohms. .3. So on the other side of these resistors are two capacitors. Capacitor 1 and 2. Which is an open line to ground. So capacitor 3 or resistor 3 and resistor 1 should short the ground. Yeah, and that's unfortunately true. So that implies that the two resistors are working for whatever oscillating value is. Let me tighten up my little microscope here. It's kind of bothering me. So then the other side of component or of capacitor C1 should flow into U3 pin 3. So U3, that's a fantastic question. I wonder if that's the power management chip. But what I can do is sort of look at if capacitor C1, yeah, it's right there, what this guy does. So one side will short the ground. That side. This side connects to pin 1, and pin 1 was generating 5 volts. Pin 1 goes into U3. I think U3 must be power management chip. There's U6. There's U4. Trying to see if I can spot any board markings. U15. If I think it's the power management chip, then it should short on one of these legs. Which side was ground? That side's ground. So it would be the inner part of power management chip. I think it's this guy right here. It's pin 3. I think it's like... I don't know where the top corner would be. I would think it would have been like right here. So that must not be U3. So I see U4 over here. It's weird. Why is U3 so hard to find? Especially with how big it is. I'm going to check a good board then. Just run that same sort of theory that it's... So, shorts the ground. There's a dot. Okay. There, it's right there. Pin 3. I noticed this is a completely different chip because this is a Texas Instrument chip. I don't think that those markings are really visible. There it is. So if pin 3... Yeah, it's right there. I really don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. Like, that doesn't really tell me anything. 5 volts is coming into pin 1. I know this. Capacitor is shorting to ground on the side it should. And it wouldn't get 5 volts if it wasn't making its way to the power management chip. And I can check again, but pretty sure those pulses of 5 volts were not coming from the power management chip. So I kind of want to be a little more careful when probing this. I'd rather probe the aft side of the capacitor. Or the non-ground side of it. Ooh. Yeah, it doesn't pulse out of C1. It's just a direct line. And then at the battery connector, it's sort of like searching for a battery. So it's just like 5 volts, 5 volts, 5 volts. Well, I'm going up to about 4.1, I think, because it's pulsing a little faster than my meter can keep up. So what's weird is I might not be able to detect it. But if this is referencing a clock, then it should be pulsing. But it isn't. That's pulsing the orange light. Constant. This is constant. Or is this 7? It's 1 volt. So I don't know why it's not pulsing. Like it should be. The only real conclusions I've been able to come down to is these U11 components are different. Let me see if I have any, if I can match the MO34335A. That's a different kind of M. I don't know how legible this one's going to be. M126335A. It might be the same chip, just one's a little more worn. No, that's clearly 126. I'm going to see if I can get maybe a lookup on this chip. I probably can't run my microscope and my camera at the same time, so I'll blip that off. It might still think it's being used by OBS. Okay, yeah. Activate that. Try it again. Okay, there we go. All right. See what it comes up with. Monolithic power system or similar vendor. Likely a compact charging IC or power controller. I wonder, that's actually kind of a good point. What happens if I have the battery plugged in and then I take it out? I don't think I've ever tried that. Well, I have the battery in. I'll have my little USB tester here. So this console just charges fine. Like, but what happens if I pull the battery? Where is it dumping that voltage? So what this is telling me is the console can't tell what I don't think it can tell where the battery is. That's kind of a curious symptom. So let's try it with this. This is the blinking one. It almost can't like see where the battery is. It just sort of does like a one-time check. Battery's in, charging fine, pulsing. So that's the behavior I'm expecting. Never did that test before. That was kind of curious. Just sort of reading through and seeing what AI says. So that's the normal one. So it almost does like a pulse to detect the battery once. It searches for the battery once. And when it finds the battery, it's like, okay, good to go. As sort of signified by that test we just did. So battery's in, charging. Oh no, the battery fell out. But it's still going. I can even get it to try and boot. I wonder if it would boot. I know there's this part of the schematic about that, but the ones that power on only with the these aren't store units. I can't help but think about it. So what I want to see if the console will stay on if I yank the battery, or will it still die? So I'm just getting testing components plugged in here. Yeah, that should be good enough. This needs to go over here or somewhere else. I'll just put it in my lap. So I'm not going to power it on. What I will do is plug it in, yank the battery. I probably didn't plug in the backlight. This is kind of wild. So it's not supposed to do that. Huh. Oh, I didn't latch the LCD correctly. At all. So, can I run it straight off the charger? Yeah, what's interesting is it is looking for the battery, but it only looks for it once. So if I try plugging in the battery, it shouldn't do any... Oh? So I wonder if the battery sends a feedback that it sort of goes off of. That's kind of wild. I can just yank the battery and it's just on. And the thing about it is this isn't exactly an issue, but it's not expected behavior. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just wondering why. I'm not going to plug the battery back in. I rather don't want to replace fuses. So let's see what AI said. I gave it a moment. You were seeing two things. The unit still accepts a charge with the battery pulled, and the orange light doesn't blink. The combination always means the charging IC thinks the battery is still present. That seems to be the case with that little bit of testing. Typically caused by a leakage or a hard short trying the BAT B+ sense node. So that's what that is. B+ or BAT sense node. Battery present spoofed by leakage into B+. I don't think that's the case because even though when the battery is not connected, it's not trying to charge a battery that's not there. open or short on thermistor or ID line. Oh, maybe I should clarify by saying let me see if that's the case. I'm sort of munching on a mini orange. So I think I actually already know the answer to this. It'll still try to charge a battery that's not there. A healthy B plus line should be 0 volts. Okay. So let me take these screens off. B plus is coming out of pin 7. Let's see if AI is on to something here. I hope it is, because I'm stumped. This is way out of my league. So, a functional battery plus. Quiet. Get my microscope plugged back in. So I'm not going to worry about that board. I'm going to worry about the good board. So what did I measure out of 7? Pin 7. I don't remember, if anything. Oh, schematic. Pin 7. So let me plug this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's this via right here. I'm getting nothing, which is apparently normal. Let me just touch the 7 pin. Okay. Now let's check the faulty board and see if one of AI's theories is that it should be elevated. It should have a voltage reading. I don't remember seeing that when I was just wildly probing. It could be that it only pulses once, so I don't see it. Oh, where'd my microscope go? There we are. A little gummy. I wonder if pin 7 just didn't get... So I do have something. Not much. Might be able to even leave my probe in there. Here, microscope, hold on to this probe. Oh, come on. I might be able to one-hand this. Okay. So now, let's spike. So it jumps up to 0.07 volts. Let me double check my good board again. Sort of doing that method. So that might be something I can go on off of. And then I'm almost thinking if this is a problem I can almost replicate, then it would give like a, hey, do you want to TSI it to run right off the charger? I don't know if that's good for it. I don't know how dangerous that would be. That doesn't seem like a very smart idea. But this seems to be sort of the first like real sign that something... Okay, so yeah, nothing as expected. And this is blinking, right? I'm not crazy. Yep. Okay, so let me punch that in, or let me see what that means exactly. So measure BAT1 and BAT, or BAT plus and BAT with battery removed. Or with B plus and BAT. I don't know where BAT is, but there's B plus right here. I wonder if it meant this rail too. So B plus jumps to 0.07 volts. Stays at 0 volts. This might just be nothing. Is almost 0, which points to a small leakage path rather than a hard back feed. A leaky diode on B plus? Well, it would be one of these. Or this guy right here, I think. Peripheral. Measure batted IC. Which I basically did. Well, I didn't check the battery. The actual. I need to try and do this one-handed. Okay. Supposed to measure the voltage line. So pin, yeah, I need to go from pin 6. Obviously I get nothing. Nothing. Oh, I think it means with the charger plugged in. That makes more sense. Then I gotta somehow remove the battery. Point 0.9. Point 0.9. Okay. Okay, so for the thermistor line, what I need to know is that normal? AI has a wonderful ability to confidently lead you down a completely batshit crazy direction. Okay, so this is the normal board. Charging the battery, as one would expect. Nine four. Yank the battery, it's flashing. Still 9.4, so that's normal. So I need to tell it to stop taking me down the wrong path. A micro bridge between TH and adjacent pins. What? No, I don't think so. Wouldn't really be too surprising. TH is pin 6. And I know my solder job wasn't that bad. I'd be able to pin that out if it was pin 6. I'd be able to see it. Problem is, I can't see it. Itty bitty. Really, really small. Yeah, there's pin 6. It looks fine. I don't know if I tested these thermistor lines to ground. Well, a continuity test should determine whether or not its thermistor line is leaking, per se. Pin 4, that is going to ground. That's natural. Pin 4. So no, I don't have micro bridges. Yeah, I actually don't know. AI is kind of taking me down the thermistor route. And I think I might just chalk this up as a quirk. It doesn't impact the charging. It has the added bonus of keeping the console on when the battery is ejected. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but it's not creating a problem. I think that's sort of where I take my stand on it. And I really don't know how to move forward, because I don't quite understand what all of this means. Though I'm cutting my losses here. I'm just calling it quits. I can't really nail down what's wrong. Something isn't... It's not... U11 isn't pulsing, and I don't know why. So, I don't know what to say.